And we are back. And we just finished watching 2022's Smile, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 55 minutes. This is the story of Dr. Rose Cotter, played by Sosie Bacon, who, as a young child, sees her dead mother after, I guess, she's committed suicide.
Yeah, I guess she finds her mom's dead body after her mom
appears
to have ingested just a buttload of pills and killed herself. But
then that's not really what happened, is it? We're not spoiling this, right? Because this is still in the theaters. I think
still in the theaters. I don't know. We saw it on Epix, so it's already on.
According to IMDb, it says showtimes.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess maybe they're just keeping it in theaters for people who don't have Epix. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I guess we shouldn't spoil it. Or I mean, honestly, does any of this matter?
It's also on YouTube with a primetime subscription. That's weird.
Do any of these details matter? Because seriously, this story is not that complex, and any of these character moments that we get for Rose are kind of meaningless. It's just sort of like lipstick on a pig. I don't know why people like this movie.
Yeah, I wasn't as impressed with it as everybody else seems to be.
Everybody's like, oh God, it's so scary. It's so good.
Although it's made some crazy numbers.
It's made so much money, and it really is completely undeserving of it. This is not a good movie. It's not
Barbarian.
Oh my God, it's not Barbarian. This is basically just as far as the mechanism of what's going on, it's basically just a rip-off of The Ring, and It Follows.
And those types of movies.
And those type of movies where there's some sort of curse that's passed on from one person to another, and there you find out, oh, there's a way to get rid of it, but we got to do something horrible. and
I mean, it's funny. We just said we weren't going to spoil it, and we just gave away what the hell this movie's about.
No, well, that's pretty much in the commercial. It's like, oh, there's something creepy following somebody. There's so many of these stupid movies where, oh, it's the Bye-Bye Man or the spook guy. Oh,
what the hell are you talking about?
I'm not even making up the Bye-Bye Man. That was an actual freaking movie. Slender Man. Somebody was like, oh yeah, creepypasta is really popular. Let's just take some of these creepypasta stories and make them into movies. And 90% of the creepypasta stories are about something creepy that's smiling at me in the darkness.
Nothing about this was scary.
No, I didn't jump at a single jump scare. Not a single jump scare. I didn't feel any dread. I didn't feel anything. Rose's character was dumb as a brick. She's a psychologist. She could have been
psychiatrist,
psychiatrist, whatever the hell she was. She worked in a hospital for mental illness. She could have been this is fascinating. Somehow there is some kind of psychosis that is contagious. This is something that's worth studying. I'm suffering from it now. I've studied it, and I found it goes back 20 years that this thing is just passing on from one person to the next. It really wouldn't have taken that much research to figure this out. And she could have been studied and put in some sort of safe environment where they could have figured things out. Yeah, she would have gone nuts, but at least she's doing something for her field. Kumar was totally willing to help her out. He got short shrift. I'm sure he had another name, but he's always Kumar to me. Cal Penn.
Yeah.
We just watched
Harold and Kumar's 3D Christmas.
This film was garbage.
I don't know that it was garbage. It just wasn't...
It wasn't scary at all.
It wasn't scary, and it probably could have done with a rewrite or two. So what could have made this story better?
Well, another thing that kind of bothered me was usually when it's one of these things where it's oh, this is being passed along and so on and so forth, the character that gets it figures something out or does something, and something different happens. None of that happened. It was she was
given the tools because she went to speak to someone who had information for her, and then she never really took advantage of that information.
Well, not only that, but she had like you said, she had the tools. She was a psychiatrist. She could have put some sort of scientific bent on it where it didn't appear that she was just some lunatic. I mean, she's studied all this stuff, and now she's going around going, there's an entity. And she's acting like the people around her are nuts because they don't believe that. Suddenly she's talking about entities and whatever, evil spirits. Like, that's not the language that a scientist uses.
Yeah, and she was so adamant in the beginning about, like, when the cops were talking to her and, like, the one cop was, like, crazy.
Yeah.
And she got offended.
She's got what do you mean head case?
Head case, right, yeah.
India, then next scene, she's, like, yammering on about entities. Evil entities. Like, no wonder her sister was like, you sound just like Mom did.
Yeah, I don't know what could have made this better. It was long. It was way longer than it needed to be.
It was way longer than that. But like I said, usually when you have a story like this person figures something out, even if it's like a false flag, but then they figure it out at the end. Like in The Ring, we got to bury Samara. Turns out, no, you don't do it. There's no way of escaping it. You just have to figure out how to pass along the curse. She figures out how to pass along the curse, but whatever. She doesn't follow through. I mean, yeah, it's a horrible thing to do, but it's like, I don't know. There was nothing different about her chain or her link in the chain of people being cursed. She's just another one in a long line of people who basically get killed by this thing. I'm sorry, spoiler alert. Yeah, she gets killed at the end. I don't care. I'm doing you a favor by spoiling this movie because it sucks. This film, it sucks. It feels like it was written by a high schooler on a creepypasta website, and somebody just was like, okay, let's just make this movie. And God bless them, because they did it, and they've made a buttload of money on this thing.
I mean, I think I read on IMDb the budget for this was $17 million, which is a significant amount of money for somebody like you and me. But for a movie, that's not a lot.
No, for $17 million, they did a good job. I mean, it looked nice.
Yeah.
It was shot nice. They had some interesting shots with the whole stuff upside down.
Yeah.
You could have made that a metaphor for something. Maybe not in this movie. But whoever directed it, I think they did a good job. And I hope they could they probably will, considering how much money this
over $200 million worldwide.
Yeah,
amazing number from 17 mil. That's
a hell of a
impressive.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that helped them was like that fun advertising where they had certain characters at certain events, like baseball games,
doing the creepy smile.
Oh,
so I think everybody loves the creepy smile.
Yeah,
it's like the most cliched thing in horror.
Is it?
On these creepy pasta things, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like, oh yeah. Oh.
I would think I would have liked this movie more if she actually decoded what this thing actually was, if it was given a name, if it was given like an actual backstory, it was identified. Like, I think
if she didn't just descend into like total freak out panic, oh, it's an entity, at least like in things like The Ring and it follows, the person that this thing is affecting is able to convey what's happening to them to other people without all those people being like, she's just crazy.
Right.
She's just a lunatic right now. She's a scientist. She had a stack of evidence when she went to go speak to her sister, and the first thing out of her mouth is, there's an entity trying to make me look crazy.
Yeah.
That's not how you present it.
Yeah.
Go through the chain of events. 20 years ago, this guy saw something. He gets killed, but his suicide is witnessed by somebody else. Guess what happened to that guy? Same thing. 20 years. For 20 years, this chain of events happened till this girl came to me, and I watched her slice her own head off. Now it's affecting me. You have all the evidence. You have all the proof. She could have presented that to Cal Penn and just been like, this is an interesting case. This is psychosis by contagion. Boom. Scientific papers written about it. Put her in a rubber room, tied up, sedated, see what happens. Figure out, will it burn out on its own if it doesn't have the ingredients it needs to keep going?
Yeah.
That could have been interesting, but instead we end up with.
But I don't think that's not how horror movies work, right? Because you can't have that logic. You have to have things be completely emotional.
But you can have that logic if you have a better story. Things could have gone completely off the rails. They could have went berserk. Oh my God, we're studying. This isn't the first movie with some weird entity that's being studied by scientists and shit goes bad. They've been making these movies since the 70s.
Sure.
There's that ridiculous one where that woman's just getting raped by a ghost over and over again.
Oh, the Barbara Hershey one.
Yeah.
What was it called? The Entity.
The Entity.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Seriously, they're not. This
That
film
was just lazy.
Yeah, this film is not original. It's the most derivative piece of crap.
Wow, you really dislike this movie.
The more I think about this movie, the more I dislike it. The only thing it's got going for it is it looks nice.
Yeah, it had really good.
Although I gotta
values.
be honest, the big thing at the end, were they trying? I mean, it was barbarian-esque in that you're dealing with some sort of like giant woman at the end, but
or thing,
but it just looked stupid. It looked dumb.
It didn't look.
I mean,
scary.
even like Gracie was sitting there on the couch and she started laughing and said it looked so dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like, okay, so my notes, you know what? Does this movie even need notes from me? It made more money it made more than 10 times its budget. So these people obviously don't need my help. I mean, I'm just a little disappointed because as a lover of horror movies, I can't lie. I have higher expectations. I want my horror to be good.
I want to be creeped out.
I want to be creeped out. I want to be scared. I want to be impacted. I want to think about this movie for days, which Barbarian, I mean, I think that's the last great horror movie that we saw.
Barbarian was
so good. So
it's
good.
It's like a different species of horror. This wasn't scary at all.
Yeah.
There was none of the they did try to do jump scares. But
yeah.
I yawned my way through most of them, and there wasn't even a lot of jump scares.
No, I mean,
there wasn't a lot of suspense. You didn't really see anything that creepy.
Yeah,
it was just people smiling.
Yeah,
and it was like, okay, I've seen that done better.
Yeah, I mean, there were things that I thought worked well, but overall, I think I was just let down. I felt very let down by this film. Like, I wanted it to be more than it was. I mean, if you're looking for a new horror, it's adequate, right? I don't think it's gonna blow you away. I don't know what people are talking about when they talk about this film.
If you're a fan of poorly written creepypasta on the internet, you will like this movie. You will really enjoy this movie.
You are really annoyed with this film.
To me, it just feels like lazy garbage.
Fair enough.
Like I said, it was filmed nicely.
It was filmed very nicely.
Whoever was doing cinematography on it did a really nice job.
Yeah, some of the shots were really
Some of
pretty.
the shots were nice. The sets were nice. She had a lovely home.
She had a great home. It's funny. There's a lot of over the head shots, and it reminded me so much of Green Room, which is obviously leaps and bounds better than this, but. Just the whole idea of being sort of like omniscient and seeing
just like
what's going on
looking
above
down at the landscape. There was a couple of shots like that.
And I like those shots.
Green Room was 1,000 times better than this.
Story wise, yes. I mean, a different type of movie.
Yeah, if you want to see a good horror film, watch Green Room.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Green Room is
because from where that starts to where it ends, it does a complete 360.
Yeah, you don't expect Green Room to go the way it does.
The
same thing with Barbarian. You don't expect it to go the way it does.
Even The Ring. I mean, if you're looking for this type of horror, the first Ring, obviously, with Naomi Watts and Torque. What's his name? Whatever his name is.
I don't know what his name is, but we call him Torque.
Noah something.
I think Noah was his character's name.
Oh, I thought it was his real name and his first name in real life. Okay, whatever it is. That movie, Brian Cox is in that. There's that crazy scene. Yeah, so like this movie definitely is a descendant of that film. And
and films
again, like you mentioned, it follows
it's the curse sort of plot where something happens. Somebody does something that opens up a curse and. Yeah, you have to see you're along the ride with this character trying to escape from this doom that they've somehow found themselves under.
I think I would have liked this better if there was like a little bit more backstory. Maybe they identified what this thing was. Maybe it was like some sort of demon. I like that about like Hereditary. Like they talk about Paimon. They identified what this thing was. Here, you don't have any sense of that. You're not really
No, it's just some sort of weird thing that like it's superficial at best.
And then it's like,
and then I think they were trying to like open up the character more by showing like what happened with her and her mom
as a child, right?
As a child, but by that point, honestly, I did not care.
Yeah.
I did not care about this. The character had annoyed me so much.
Yeah.
And like the scene where the boyfriend brings calls up the psychiatrist over to the house, and she gets all mad about that.
Yeah.
I mean, the
like,
previous scene, she tells her boyfriend, "I'm seeing evil spirits."
Right.
And what is
and
he? He had
a really normal reaction. Like, what am I supposed to say to this?
What am I supposed to say to this? What am I supposed to do? Okay, you know what I could do? I could call her therapist and maybe get her the help she needs. And when presented with that, she's just like, you've never loved me to begin with. Granted, she's under a lot of stress, but still, you're begging for help from everybody.
Yeah. The scene,
get help, man.
I kind of like the scene with the sister, the scene that she imagines. Although then you pan to the nephew, and then it's like that's kind of like a loose thread.
Yeah, what the hell was the point of the little boy looking through the window? Was that going to lead to something, and then they changed the script later on?
I don't know. You know what? It's funny when that scene comes up. I guess because this is a lot like The Ring, I thought, oh no, the child's gonna get it. The child's going to inherit this curse.
That could have led to something. That could have put some more emotional stakes. We're with this one singular character the entire time. She doesn't, like, her relationship with her boyfriend is kind of non-existent. I mean, she goes to a party on a weekend for her family, and where the hell's he?
Yeah. Well, not even her boyfriend. He's her fiancé.
He's her fiancé, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, like, what kind of relationship was that? I don't know. It was like the most like checked out relationship ever.
Yeah, and I just didn't feel like that. I felt like she had better connection with the ex-boyfriend. Yeah. And she sort of alludes to that towards the end, like you made me feel things and stuff, and like
but even that was like not really developed and hollow. It was for a film that was as long as it was. None of these characters or relationships were very well defined.
So my notes would have been,
I didn't feel much sympathy for Rose.
Agreed. So my notes would have been, I think you start the story where they're bringing Laura into the hospital. Laura is the first girl. Mm-hmm. And then you tell the story from the vantage point of Laura being led into this hospital. She's put into this room. And then Rose comes in. And then, of course, the POV becomes Rose, right? So now she's the person. Everything that happens with Laura happens. Rose is freaked out, whatever. Instead of even having Carl or whatever.
Who's Carl?
Carl was that crazy guy.
That was another pointless aspect of the thing.
I get rid of Carl. Just introduce the story from Laura. And then have it jump to Rose. Then Rose sort of, from this point, because she's now receiving this curse or whatever you want to call it, this is when things hit the fan. Instead of her like having nightmares before, now make her have nightmares. Now make her become this completely different person to the point where the people around her are like, what is going on? Because then that makes it more interesting, because it's like she wasn't acting like this way before. So something has happened, right? And then have her go on this journey, but also identify what this thing is and have it be a bigger part of the story, and then have the ending be a little bit scarier instead of what you see. Like I wasn't terribly impressed with
the
giant thing, and it could have been anything, because when you see the drawings in that guy Gabriel's attic workspace, it could have been anything. It could have been
some of those drawings are pretty good.
But that's what I mean. Like, it could have been anything. It didn't have to necessarily be, like, even Laura says in that sequence, like, sometimes it's people you know and sometimes it's complete strangers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they could have gone completely off the wall with this thing.
Yeah.
Like, there was a point where I was, like, hoping that she'd look at the cat and the cat would just smile.
Yes. Yes.
That would have been awesome.
Yes.
But instead, we get what we get with the cat, and it's like I predicted that before it even happened.
I know, and it was, and in retrospect, it's very cliched. It's very, very cliched. Oh my gosh!
Cliched. I agree with you about what that would have made it better. I think it would have been better if the first girl, it was like she was studying her for a period of time, and that's how she was finding out about this, and she was trying to help the girl get over it, but then she realizes that this is something deeper, something more sinister, especially when after we get to know the girl and we get to know Rose as a caring person trying to help this girl, Laura, because I guess they have that shared trauma of witnessing a suicide together. So there's like that bond, and then the girl gets killed because she just can't escape this thing.
But did Rose actually see a suicide? Oh.
You're going beyond what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because they have this bond, and when the girl, there's like an emotional stake there. But then now she has it for real. This isn't some sort of clinical thing anymore.
Yeah.
It becomes something a bit more supernatural, more creepy.
Yeah.
And she has to figure out a way to get rid of it, or she's going to die. And then you're finding out, okay, this is how you get rid of it, and realizing that the cure is just as bad as the disease.
So
that could have made it a little bit more.
Sorry.
That could have given you more emotional stakes in this whole thing, which would have just made it better. Because seriously, I did not care about Rose at all. I didn't really know much about her. What I did see of her was kind of bland. I mean, I didn't even like her relationship with her fiance. No real explanation about what was going on with her and the cop. Was she friends with Cal Penn? What was her relationship like? What her relationship with her sister seemed kind of like, oh, my sister. I never got any sort of like why I should care about Rose.
So the other point I was going to say was, in my mind, start with Laura, have it transfer to Rose, have Rose kind of be like in this race against time, have Jackson, her nephew, be the possible recipient of this thing, and then she realizes, I need to end this, and I need to end this in a way that stops this from progressing.
Yeah, like
because
have a threat of where it's like as if she knew where it was going to go next.
Right.
Like the thing would tell her that I'm gonna make you kill yourself in front of this little boy because I want to be inside the little boy too.
Yeah.
So,
and then she finds the strength or whatever, the power to like just off herself in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
See, that to me would have been better, because you have skin in the game, right? Because it's like, I don't want this to impact my nephew.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
This wasn't as good as I would have liked it to be. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really surprised. I'm completely gobsmacked by the numbers this made. I mean, kudos, everybody.
Yeah, good job. You
good
made
job.
A buttload of money on just a
mediocre kind of story. Yeah, I mean, I just wish it had been a little bit better. Again, I'm a huge lover of horror films. I love it, but I just didn't love this. 1 to 10, what would you give this?
I'll give this a 3.
A 3, wow. I was going to give it a 5. I think technically it's really nicely done.
Well, I mean, you said mediocre, which is 5. It's average. I actively dislike this movie.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, the only thing nice about it was well filmed, but the story was bad. The characters were bad. It didn't scare me at all. Like the cheapest scare, a jump scare. None of those got me. None of them, when the sister's head swinging in the car window, and when
that could have been something,
when
and
the person's
wasn't.
yelling in her ear next to her suddenly, or none of that. When the giant lady comes out, when that happened, before it happened, I was like, oh, I bet it's long gangly arms and long dark hair. 100% right. That's exactly what it was, and it was like her face was. What the hell was up with her face? It just looked like some chubby cheeked lady with, what'd she have, green skin? I don't know.
Yeah. No, it wasn't green. I mean, they could have made it more menacing.
Wasn't scary.
With, like,
and then
crazy.
And then like when the part when like it rips the skin
Skin
off. That looked terrible. That looked like, okay, we got like 6 horror masks. We're going to put them all on top of each other.
Yeah.
So this way its jaws are all jiggly.
Yeah, it was weird.
It didn't look good. It just absolutely didn't look good. And then like, I guess it was going into her. That just looked really bad. 3, a hard 3.
Okay. I would give this a 5. I mean, I think it's horror, so it gets a point for that. It gets a point for just the technical aspects of it. I think the cinematography is good. I think the locations, the house was really pretty. Some of the actors were okay. I didn't get a sense of Rose and her fiance having any kind of chemistry. Again, I felt like she had more chemistry with the ex-boyfriend than she did with her actual boyfriend. And I agree with you. The relationship with the sister I thought they were friends at first.
I thought they were friends at first too. I thought she was just some like annoying,
friend of
vapid
hers.
friend of hers.
And even the relationship with her and her therapist or whatever.
Yeah, her therapist. That was almost like a pointless character.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, I want to go to you because I want you to prescribe me drugs, and oh, I don't think I should prescribe you drugs.
Yeah.
And then the next time 2 times she sees her, it's like annoyance or it's not really happening.
Right. I feel like you could have done more with less. Like lose Carl, lose the therapist. Heck, I'd even lose the sister.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna do the whole thing with the little boy,
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
But then again, that
didn't go anywhere
in this particular thing. Yeah, just jettison all of that stuff.
Yeah.
There's really no point. She really had nothing to hook onto.
Yeah.
Rose was just such a
meandering character.
It was just like a window dressing of a character.
Yeah.
I did not get any sense of why I should feel
anything for
her.
Yeah.
And that's terrible if you're doing a movie where that's the main character.
Yeah.
Like in It Follows, I cared about the main character. And in The Ring, I cared about the main character.
Yeah.
This Rose didn't give a damn.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to stick with my 5. I feel like there were things about this that were okay. And again, because it's a horror movie, it's going to get a point from me because I actively champion those types of movies. But
I love horror movies too, but for me that actually makes it take away a point because this was not scary at all. It wasn't even like titillating with like slasher aspects, like on some cheesy gore fest type movie where you could just be like, oh, look what they did to that body.
Yeah.
Didn't even get any of that.
Yeah. This was subpar for sure. For sure. I'm still going to leave it at the midway point. I feel like if you want to see something new, this might fit the bill. This is tagged as horror. And I don't know how much horror there is in this, but...
Yeah. Let's wrap this up.
All right. Ultimately pass.
I would pass on this the world has apparently seen this movie, so it's made enough money.
I mean, I think if you want to see this done better, go check out The Ring or It Follows. Where this particular story is done in a much better way. I mean, the production values on this are good. And if you've seen those movies and you're looking for something new, I guess you can check this out. But it's mediocre at best. Yeah. Okay. That's it from us, and we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.